Welcome to Hello Darling. Today my very special guest is Brooke Woon. Brooke Woon is a psychologist as well as published author of a book, I Believe You, How to Heal from Sexual Child Abuse. Let's meet Brooke. This program is brought to you by Momentum for Australia charity. Hello darling, welcome to my show.
Hello, darling. Lovely to see you.
Oh, Brooke, you are a psychologist.
Yes.
You have been helping now people for over 20 years with
Mainly concentrating in the area of trauma and working in two areas, one with the services, so with police officers and people from defence that have PTSD, and also with helping people who've been through child sexual abuse.
incredible. And you are published author of the incredible book called I Believe You.
Oh, thank you.
And the book is How to Heal from Child Sexual Abuse. What motivated you to write this book?
I guess initially it was from my own experience and going through my own healing journey. And I always wanted to write a book to support people in healing from what I knew to be just something really tough and hard to heal from, and from not having somebody I felt like I could talk to. So I always wanted the book to be like you're having a conversation with somebody,
Yes.
so that people would feel supported.
On a page 132, you say the main reason I wrote the book is my dream to blow away the stigma of child sexual abuse so people who went through it can openly talk about. Brooke, thank you. Thank you for coming here and being prepared to talk about something that everyone knows about, but hardly anyone is prepared to talk about. You had your own journey. Can you take me a little bit back to your childhood? What happened?
My childhood. My childhood was horrific. So I was sexually abused by two different people. And one of them was somebody who should have been a really trusted person, but that was the person that most abused me. And the abuse was pretty much on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. So I was sexually abused. Sometimes I was drugged, and I would wake up and I'd just be on a bare bed with no clothes. I don't know how long I'd been there. I would be just couldn't move my body because I was in so much physical pain, just covered in. And because I was so scared, I would just have to lie there, like naked, really hungry, but too afraid to ask for food.
How old were you there?
Well, it was mainly from my memory. It would be from when I was born to around about the age 6 was the most severe
Okay, take
abuse.
me back. Did you go and spoke to anybody? Did you speak to anyone? Did you ask anyone? Where was your mom then?
My mum was around, but she had mental illness, and the person that was abusing me was forcibly wanting her to take drugs. So she was often not conscious. So I didn't really have anybody to protect me at that time. So I always had a memory of being abused, but it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I kind of understood how severe the abuse was. Because along with the physical aspects of sexual abuse, there's all the psychological things that perpetrators do that enables them to be able to abuse somebody. So in my case, I was always told I was worthless and this is all that men would want from me, and my life isn't worth anything and I shouldn't be alive. And so my self-esteem was so low that I probably didn't realize how bad it was, because I just thought it was my lot in life.
And when did you realize that what's happening to you is out of norm and that what's happening to you is abuse? How old were you there? Take me now step forward.
Probably not until a teenager, to be honest, because I was socially isolated. So I didn't really have any positive role models that understood what was going on. And because I was so isolated and only occasionally saw a family outside of the immediate family, missed a big chunk of school. I didn't consistently go to school till I think I was around 10 or 11. So I couldn't really read and write properly and, felt really intellectually quite stupid, really, I want for a better word. So, it took me a while to really understand, but it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I first thought, I need to talk to someone about this. I need to actually deal with what's happening. It took
And
a
whom
while.
did you speak to first?
I spoke to a counsellor, and it was such a blessing. It's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And she just made me feel that, and this is what I say to my patients now, is that in regards to any kind of abuse against a child, the adult is always completely 100% responsible for their behaviour. A child is never responsible in any way, and they can't defend themselves. So she just helped me understand how perpetrators work, and and that it wasn't my fault, and that was really the starting of my healing journey.
And to this point, until you spoke to this counselor, you really believed that partly you were guilty. They were able to manipulate your mind to the and gaslight you.
Yeah,
Believe that you were guilty.
I just felt it's hard to explain unless you've been through child sexual abuse, but I think it's the energy of the perpetrator, and they're so big, and you've got this little child, and so they overpower you with their energy, which is really icky. And so we hold trauma memory in our body. So I had so much shame within me. Um, because of that, and because of the abuse, and because of what I was told that I was as a person,
Yeah.
and that, that I was worthless. And so that just made me kind of feel that I didn't deserve anything better. It took me a long time to really find my worth. I had to put a lot of effort into building my self-esteem.
Now, time pass. You are a psychologist. What made you study psychology? Tell me the process from the young girl to the young woman. When did you decide to study psychology?
It would have been when I was around 15, 16 years of age. I'd hit rock bottom. I hadn't really been happy ever. I didn't really know what that felt like. So by the time I was around 15, I had a suicide attempt. And at that point, I realized that something had to change. I either had to make the decision to go through with it, or I had to learn how to heal. And then I realized that if I'm going to heal from this and feel better, I have to learn how to love myself. And I thought, and what I want to do is help other people do that. But first, I have to work out how to do it. But once I've worked out how to do it, then I can become a psychologist and help other people do it.
Incredible. And how long did it take you to love yourself, to have a self love to yourself, more or less?
Well, I'm still working on it, getting, a little bit better at it every day. But I would say from that time when I was a teenager, I would wake up and I'd go, how can I heal myself today? And then as long as it's harm come to none, I would do it. And I did that for years.
Okay.
So it's like walking up a staircase. It's a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then eventually, before you know it, you get there.
Incredible.
So yeah,
And
it took a while.
you wrote something very beautiful in your book. You said, I believe crises happen to crack our world and hearts open. Makes me very emotional when I read it again. And I think that was related to a time when you were around 20. You you said in your book you lost your job, you crashed your car.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I I had one of those moments in life where there was a fork in the road, and basically every aspect of my life changed within a few weeks. So I'd had a really beautiful relationship, and that ended, and then I crashed my car, and then needed to leave a job, and it all happened really quickly. Um, but that kind of took me to Perth and then took me on a completely new journey.
So
And
everything happens for a
yeah,
reason.
yeah, I've been here for about 20 years, so it all happened for a
I
reason.
would say you say that this book is sometimes difficult to read because it was a book that was difficult to write. Your honesty in this book is incredible. Your attention to detail, what happened to you, which obviously we don't have time to cover, and we want the reader to experience themselves, is pretty amazing. You're giving insight to pedophile world. You're working with pedophiles now. Can you describe a pedophile in few sentences and how to spot a pedophile?
Okay. I have worked with pedophiles in the past, and I think something really important to realize is that it can be very hard to spot a pedophile. That's the scary thing. So, pedophiles are often charming, they infiltrate the community. They go to places where they can access victims. So they go to your church, to the daycare centres, to, unfortunately, they can be foster carers. They go into any position where they're going to have access to vulnerable children, and then they'll monitor children to see whose parents are busy or whose parents don't come to pick them up or who's lonely. So there was some research done on what makes a child attractive to a pedophile. And when we think about attractiveness as an adult, it's often how they look and all those kinds of things. But with pedophiles, it was all down to who's vulnerable to being abused.
Now, you are a mother yourself now
I am.
of two boys.
Two
Your
beautiful
face
boys.
shining, of
Yes,
course.
so they're very cute.
How, after such a horrific experience and journey, how can you trust again? Tell me about the process. Do you have to fall in love to be able to trust again? Obviously.
Uh, I I think that I think we need love and connection as humans to be happy. And when somebody's been really severely abused, and with child sexual abuse, it is often by people that you should be able to trust, and often people even within families. What can happen is people can put a wall around them to protect themselves, which can cause depression and anxiety because we become further and further isolated. Um, and it could be a really lonely place to be. But when we do that, we're also blocking out all the good in life. So I think what it is it's finding people that you can trust, even if that's just starting with a counsellor and then eventually putting your foot in the water and starting a friendship and then a relationship, and but always based on respect and trust.
Do you hate pedophiles when you work with them?
Uh, hate. I try not to hate anybody. It was a part of my recovery from being abused is to be centered in love. And I think that's really helped me heal and to see the good in life. I didn't find working with pedophiles particularly um, pleasant because they're highly manipulative. I could see them trying to manipulate me, and and in talking to them, I could see that those behaviours that they had was still very much there and entrenched. So they would try to manipulate me into, oh, I really miss my child, and a big if I could just see them once when I know that if they're probably wanting to see that child to access a victim. So, yeah, and really, in my experience, and this, I'm not saying this is it for everybody, all pedophiles, but in my experience, I didn't meet a pedophile that had any kind of remorse or, and I do believe that often they understand the impact they have on victims, but that's what drives them.
May I ask you, would you describe a pedophile as a psychopathic person?
They can have those traits.
Well,
The
can a normal person, sorry to interrupt, being attracted to a child in a sexual way, in my opinion, I'm not psychologist,
Yeah,
is a psychopathic
yeah.
or at least abnormal.
The difference between child sexual abuse and some other kinds of child abuse is that this is mostly a very planned out type of abuse. So people will groom like a child's parents. So they might be attracted to a single mother because they've got young children. They could groom that mother for years and the children until they start abusing the children. And what I found is that that's just as arousing and they gain just as much enjoyment from being able to manipulate and groom those people than the actual abuse itself. So I wouldn't even say it's attraction, I'd say it's about power and control and consciously, purposely harming somebody that's defenseless in being able to protect themselves, but, like in my case, doesn't even know they're being abused.
Incredible. Talking about it at schools, your book, where can people buy? They can buy on Amazon, yes?
Amazon, Booktopia, on my website.
Incredible. But my question is, how can we create awareness in addition to your book, your willingness to sit here and share this journey with the viewers? Shouldn't school curriculums include some kind of a anti-pedophile education? What do you think? What's your view? Obviously, we have to do anything to talk more about it.
I think a lot of schools do actually have these policies,
Yes.
especially in Australia, where they do actually talk about stranger danger.
Stranger danger, yeah.
And I think for these, I think that although it's an uncomfortable conversation, it's a necessary conversation to have with your children. We started having this conversation with our children from as soon as they could understand. So it's just got to be age appropriate, but just letting them know that they're in control of their bodies. If they don't, if they don't want somebody to touch them, that's okay. That outside of uh, that adults, like this is when they're younger, that adults aren't actually allowed to touch their
Private parts.
private parts, but
Yes.
using their real names, because God forbid if they were abused when they're being interviewed by police, they would need to be able to say penis or vagina or breast.
Yes.
In that process. But just making it a normal conversation. And also, I think these days we really need to consider social media because a lot of pedophiles access video games and they'll pretend that they're children
Yes.
and then they'll say, "Oh, would you like to come over to my place for a play day or to go?"
That's right.
And then the child goes there,
Yeah.
and then they're drugged and yeah.
So the latest registration to ban social media from under 16 is obviously a blessing.
I'm such a fan of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It couldn't come, I mean, better late than never, correct?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
I believe that the suicide rate in Aboriginal communities is enormously high. I read it in your book. Yes? Because effect of abuse in Aboriginal families is extra heavy.
I The thing with child sexual abuse is that it happens, to my knowledge, in all communities, unfortunately.
Of course.
Um, even in Afghanistan, they have chai boys over there, and these are boys that are known that just serve as adults, and it's just constant, and it's part of the community. It's horrific. In Aboriginal culture, it's not unlike other cultures in Australia, where sometimes what can happen is that the child that's been abused can be isolated from the family, because there's shame around that kind of abuse. So there's kind of a bit of a denial, and on occasion, that person, then that abuser, will be able to continue the abuse, and it's the victim that's been pushed away. But that also happens. That's happened to me,
Yes.
and I'm not Aboriginal, so
I know.
it's
I just
yeah,
the suicide
yeah.
rate in your book.
It's yeah. I
So,
think the suicide rate for people that have been um, sexually abused is higher than the normal population.
yes. And now I'm thinking, we probably will never know how many suicide would come from child abuse, since people that suicide because of child abuse never share the child abuse stories. So there is no accurate statistics or even close to that could represent the truth.
It's such a good point, because the statistics are only based on reported child sexual abuse, and most people don't report it. And I worked with ex-offenders for a while, and what I noticed was a trend in the very violent offenders, that almost all of them had been sexually abused as a child. Some of them wouldn't identify it as abuse, but I would. And that was really interesting.
Now, Brooke, being a mom yourself, do you speak to your sons? Did you speak to their sons about it?
All the time, still,
All
even
the
though
time.
once in high school.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm really strict about their social media, which drives them crazy.
Absolutely.
But one day, hopefully, they'll realise
What I want
I
to
was
congratulate
protecting
you.
them.
Yes, they will. They will. What I want to congratulate you, in spite of this heavy, incredible heavy topic, you are managing in this book to have very positive messages and affirmations, such
Thank you.
as such as page 135. When I was preparing for our meeting, you say there are so many good people in the world. There are only few pedophiles, but because they abuse so many people, it seems as majority. My apologies if it's not exact quote. You have a sunshine messaging in such a darkness story.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that, because this is incredible. You also saying something very incredible. I belong, I'm important, my life has a purpose. My past won't determine the future.
Yes.
So, Brooke, thank you for the beautiful dedication you gave me in the book, saying, Dear Barbara, thank you for the light you bring. And all I can do is say the same to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, Brooke, as you know, probably I give my guests at the end of my show, of my interview, metaphorical magic wand. I'm a genie and I'm giving you two wishes, one for yourself and one for the world. What would be your wish for yourself?
It would be to be able to continue to live my life with purpose and with love,
And for the world?
to be kind to each other.
Thank you. Brooke, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing the light. Thank you for making the difference. And thank you for opening conversation to something nobody really wants to talk about.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Appreciate you.
This program was brought to you by Momentum for Australia charity.